Yesterday, delivered on the LCS surprises we know and love. We'll see which teams can end their first week with a win in our matches today. Hello and welcome to the LCS Countdown. I'm James Dash Patterson, joined by Hi Lamb, Sam Kobe Hartman Kensler, and Mark Zimmerman. Gentlemen, back for day 2, the earlier start time. How we feeling?
Good. You didn't say NA LCS Countdown. You're nailing it.
Oh, yeah, we're off to a hot start today.
I'm proud of it.
Yeah, I've been practicing all night. Didn't sleep a wink. No, let's get a refresher on which of the teams picked up wins to start off the split by looking at the standings. Team Liquid, TSM, Optic, FlyQuest, and Clutch all started off with a W here in the spring split, while the other teams searched to pick up one today. Now, TL, they looked great right out the gate as our defending champions.
And this was something some people were saying, oh, maybe they won't be as hot as we think, even though they look like a stacked roster come Worlds. They might have a little bit of a lag on starting up. But
so many carries. What will they do with Benson on the team?
Turns out they're just going to win, because that was a pretty commanding performance over C9.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, C9, again, looked at by many as a top 4 team when it comes to preseason rankings. How do we feel about their performance in contrast to TL? Yes, TL looked good, but is it enough to make you worried about Cloud9?
I would say Cloud9, they didn't have the strongest performance in this first game, and they're going to play 100 Thieves today. And one of those teams have to go 0-2, right? And a lot of people have Cloud9 and 100 Thieves as, top 3 teams in the. So we'll get to see which one is actually better between them and, if they're actually top 3 material.
A very tough first week for both of those teams when it comes to strength of schedule. Let's talk about the team that 100 Thieves beat just yesterday in TSM. Again, a lot of people had some question marks around this roster. Broken Blade coming in, and yet they look solid.
TSM #1, right?
Yeah.
Right, guys?
Back on top, baby.
Yeah, I've had my fair share of experiences with them at the top and also under me, but I'm going to have to say, they're looking pretty strong this split. Beardson might be back to form. Oh, how do you say that? Beardson? With the beard?
Beardson.
Yeah. Beardson?
Beardson.
There you go.
Beardson. Yeah, that guy is a whole new mid laner, man. I don't know who he is or where he came from.
He's a grizzled veteran now.
But he's coming back, taking the crown.
Yeah, I mean, TSM did look good taking down 100 Thieves, and especially Broken Blade, their new guy in the top lane. He actually solo kills Someday, the superstar for 100 Thieves, who had a very
questionable solo kill, to be fair.
Yeah, Someday was looking rusty.
Yeah.
The Sion matchup into the victory. We saw a number of top lane rookies per se on those tank matchups and performed quite well. I do want to talk about Clutch as a squad. Huni kind of, leading the charge for this team. Their whole team strategy and playstyle very much felt in line with Huni as an individual.
There was one play in this game that really encapsulates Huni is back. He's in the enemy jungle invading with his Rumble. Karthus cues him over the wall, so he gets vision, and it's like somebody ticked him on the shoulder. He turns around immediately. He flashes.
I want that kill.
Kills him, first blood.
Yeah, overreaction. Someone just barely annoyed him for clearing a ward. He's like, I'm going to kill you for that.
It's the guy over the party who bumps into somebody else. Yeah, exactly. But that aggressive play style, we could see both where it can be successful and where it can hurt Clutch Gaming. They did come away with the victory over Echo Fox just yesterday. It is time for us to recognize a player, though, that concedes the need to carry. Just to say, I'm helping, presented by State Farm. In his first match with CLG, PoE Xerath wasn't nabbing the kills, but making sure that Darshan could.
And as the Shroud comes down, does Darshan go for more of a fight? Aftershocks on cooldown, he can do a lot of damage here. When's the Zonia's coming out? When's the self-ult? Jumps over a lot of walls, still being tagged. And this is what the comp is for. Darshan needs a single Q. He's got to wait for the energy, and he gets the shutdown with assistance from Power of Evil.
Bottom side, Dardoch now under fire. Darshan uses Ignite.
But he's getting sniped, and he's got no way out. It won't matter. Darshan finds the kill, and yet again, bit of help from across the map by Xerath.
While it proved useful in some of those cross-map plays, and it was very impressive to kind of see them utilize Xerath's unique skill set in that way. We saw the Xerath kind of falter in every other aspect of that game, it seemed.
It was a cute idea, but then when you saw how the laning phase went, how team fights went after that, it's nice to be able to back up Darshan split pushing, but they kind of came at a cost with all that. But it was still a very cute idea out of them.
And a quintessential Power of Evil kind of pick. Looking ahead, though, to the end of the split, after one day of performances, I want to test your prediction skills in a little over-under. This is one of my favorite times of the split, where you guys get to put it all on the line with very little evidence. evidence to back it up. We're going to start with Team Liquid, the #1 team in the league. We're predicting the number of losses that they will have at the end of the split. We're putting the line at 4.5. Will they be over? Will they have more than 4.5 losses, or will they be under? Will they have less than 4.5 losses? The context there, 4.2 is that
the
average losses for the regular season of a first-place team.
You know, I'm going to say if they're telling everyone that they're going for Worlds and they're going to, you know, get the semis or even the finals, they need to have less than 4 losses, like, for sure. Like, that's happened a lot before with Immortals, with C9 and other teams. And, you know, they have to have less than 4 losses.
I agree with you. Why are you saying over?
Are you kidding me? Because in spring and summer, they both had more than 5 losses in their championship runs.
And they got better.
And
now they
so
have
did
Jensen.
other people. Plus, this team has eyes on international play. They're going to try things in North America. Doublelift literally said this last year. He said, we're trying
I'm going to play Vladimir and lose.
I don't think they're going to try to
He
lose.
literally said,
they want to win.
guys, don't worry. We're not, like, we're testing out other strategies for international play. You're going to rack up some losses like that. They did it before. They're going to do it again.
I mean, basically, you're having to determine, you know, if last year TL was here and the rest of the league was here, this year, you know, did everyone just get a similar amount better, or did TL over-index now with the 2 additions? And that's kind of what you're having to weigh in this discussion.
Yeah, and I'm assuming TL got a lot better with Core JJ coming into the league as a former world champion and Jensen being arguably the best mid laner in the league.
He was like 10-2 yesterday or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And that stat lines aren't everything, but, you know, he did do pretty well. And I got to say, you know, if Doublelift chooses to choose Vladimir, I think he can rely on his team to, like, hard carry him in case he's trying things out.
Well, we've talked about losses. Let's talk about wins. The team I want to talk about here is 100 Thieves. We're going to put the line at 11.5. Will they end over more than 11.5 or under less than 11.5 wins at the end of the split? Here's your context. 12 wins in 2018 spring, 10 in the summer. So we're kind of splitting the difference.
Yeah, it's tough to say because they're right in the middle of that. You're taking over? I'm
going
under. Under. Hi and I are on the same page. I'm
Right.
good.
It's not that we're trying to say they're a bad team or anything by any means, but, like, to have more than 12 wins, that's over a 66% win rate. That's generally pretty hard to do unless you're, like, the first-place team. There's not many teams that have over 66%.
You're talking about Team Liquid and the upgrades that they made in the offseason. 100 Thieves made very good upgrades for them as well. Their AD carry situation, they were switching out. They, you know, left some at home.
That was at the end of the year. That was
in.
after the regular season.
Regardless, now they've got Bang. That's a huge upgrade.
You also have to consider that they've already dropped 1 game, right, with their first day of the split. So they only have 17 more games to hit that 11.5 or higher.
Yesterday, I would say, yes, Someday had a very bad game. Someday is not a very bad player just because of yesterday. He is still an immaculate top laner, so I don't expect 100 Thieves to have more games like the one they did yesterday. Plus, that was versus top team in TSM.
So do you think yesterday's performance by 100 Thieves is kind of represents near their bottom end, their kind of floor of performance, Kobe? Is that what you're saying?
I don't see Someday counterpicking and getting
smashed much more often. Next up, Golden Guardians. We're not talking about win-loss record anymore. We're talking about the place they will finish in the standings. We're putting the line at 6.5. So over means 7 through 10. Because they're
literally a higher number.
Literally a higher number, but a worse finish. Under means 1 through 6, meaning they're a playoff team. So will they finish in playoff positioning, or will they be just outside of it? What are you guys thinking?
I mean, I got to say under all 3 times. I'm going under again. I think that they are probably a playoff team, and I don't think it's that difficult to reach with how much they upgraded their roster from last year.
Yeah, I'm going to say, all right, this is kind of like flaming myself as well, but to say that their roster is upgraded, it's easy to say, right? But, like, what did they upgrade from, you know? So it's like...
I was terrible.
I'm so washed up.
Right, so they did have 2 10th places in a row, right? So to go from 10th to a playoffs team is a large change that needs to happen. So I'm going to have to say that that's unlikely to happen, but, you know, who knows? But I'm going over for this one.
It's a tough call. Okay, Mark, in the world where you think they're quite definitively a playoff team, what are the 4 teams they beat?
I think they beat Echo Fox, Clutch, Optic, and then between CLG, FlyQuest, something else. I think they can get over.
One of those.
I think they can get over all of them.
All right, it sounds good to me. We've got one more over-under to deal with, and this is Mark's prediction rate for the 2019 spring split. Oh, you got something you want to say?
I knew something was coming because in rehearsal, you and the producers were talking behind my back.
Yeah, that's true.
Mark immediately goes, oh, what are they saying?
Yeah, he goes, whenever a producer talks to Dash and doesn't talk to me, I know something's
Do I get to answer this myself?
You do get to answer this
Over.
yourself. So you were 0-5.
That's just going to feed the problem, because that's wrong, Mark. It's going to be
I made my way worse by saying that.
That's another wrong prediction.
What do you guys think?
Under for sure.
Under 49%.
I've never been under 50% in the...
Never? Right now you are.
Yeah.
You got one right yesterday.
Wait, is it season or is it today?
The split.
Yeah,
the
I'm
whole
not going
split.
to get under 50%.
I don't know, Mark. You have a lot of confidence for an 0-5
I can't
start.
talk crap. I'm 1-4 right now. Do you know? Like I want to.
You are infinitely better than Mark right now.
I'll
Don't sell
give us
yourself
some time.
short.
One game.
All right, we got to step away. On the other side, we'll go over some players to watch and break down the current state of the game. We'll see you soon. Welcome back to the LCS Countdown, about 16 minutes away from Champion Select of Day 1, or Game 1, rather. Day 1 under our belts. Let's go ahead and take a look at who caught our eyes with our players to watch. For Week 1 of the LCS, they are TSM's Broken Blade, Optic's Crown, Echo Fox's Rush, and 100 Thieves Bang. Let's kick it off with TSM's Broken Blade.
And all the players on TSM had a pretty good opening here, but Broken Blade was the guy that most people had their eyes on. You know, he's coming over from Turkey, the TCL, and his highlight package involved a lot of Aurelia, Akali, you know, things solo killing other people, Yasuo, yet in the game number 1, he answers the question, I can play tanks, he plays San, he solo kills Someday. Admittedly, Someday was having a bad game, but he also had good team plays. I think that was key. He had a teleport down to the dragon that won them the early dragon fight and really got the team going. So I think he definitely showed up big.
Well, I would say let's be a bit patient on that. I'm not gonna say Sion's the most difficult champion to play, to be fair.
Me, man.
But he did play that Sion well, right? So like you said, he's played a lot of Yasuo, Aurelia, and things like that. And that's what I want to see. Is this a player that can play multiple play styles? Because playing a tank isn't necessarily the most difficult role to play.
Tempered optimism around Broken Blade, but that's exactly why he's one of our players to watch. We'll see if he can perform in Game 2 of the week. Next up, let's talk about Crown here, the world champion making his way over to the LCS.
Right, so I'm really excited for this. I might be a bit biased since I am a mid lane player, but watching Crown play makes me really excited because you can tell how strong a player is based off the way they move their character and the position they are around the map. So in the past few years, there's always a constant argument about who's the best mid laner in NA, right? Bjergs and Jensen, etc. I think Crown will be able to challenge that. Yeah.
Yeah, come on, man.
Yeah. If we're going back, to 2013.
He looked at me like I was an idiot. He was like,
2013.
Why would you say that?
2013, 2014, I'll make that argument.
All right, fair
but, you know,
enough.
times have changed. It's 2019 now.
Yeah, that game did really make me pretty happy, though, because we were so used to kind of at international play, a little bit depressed Crown, Malzahar duty, not doing a whole lot, you know, you're just trying to clear minions. But he was roaming around, you know, getting a lot of, you know, stuff done
He's
for
got the juke boots,
Winning
man.
a counter matchup feels good, man. Let's talk about Rush. Returning to the LCS, this is a very exciting player. Poor performance yesterday.
Right, you're either on this list because you have, you know, 5+ kills or 5+ deaths. He's in here for the 5+ deaths category, and it's, you know, it was one thing to see him get killed by Huni off a great play, and some of those initial deaths, you can kind of say, okay, that would happen to anyone. But then some of the plays he went for were very questionable, ganks that were never going to work out, flanking on Karthus from behind where he doesn't have any actual threat by himself to go in and like flash onto a backline, and never being in a position to really follow up with his team. So as someone who was the big name signing, I want to see more out of him, and part of it is the Karthus pick, so hopefully we see a return to playmaker for him today.
I'm gonna say in his defense, it is very hard to play Karthus into Camille Galio. You can't really do that much in his defense, but I would like to see him play something different.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe we'll see him on one of his more signature picks this time around. Finally, let's talk about 100 Thieves Bang, also suffering a loss in his first outing, but it seemed like a situation where it would be hard for an AD carry to do much of anything based on the rest of the map state.
Right, so he has so many different titles under his belt, right? MSI, World, LCK Champion. So when he's coming here to America, we can't just have him like go ahead and lane or something. He has to really show that he's like a top 3 world-class AD carry to like actually like cement his legacy here. Like he didn't have much of a showing yesterday, and in his defense, the team wasn't really there for him to do that. So I want to see him like do more than what he's doing.
Fair enough. I mean, yeah, marksman role I think is really important about this setup, and like you said, they had a pretty rough start.
Yeah, very much so. Today, their job doesn't get much easier, of course, as they face off against Cloud9. We're not the only ones hyped after day one, though. Some of the fans here today shared their thoughts on the season start.
I am the most excited to see 100 Thieves go to Worlds because honestly, the new teams and everything, I'm so ready.
The new TSM top laner, Broken Blade, he did really well against Someday yesterday.
I don't want to be harsh or anything, but I saw some sick plays from Jensen. I felt like if that was Povelter, that would have flopped a bit.
I'm most excited to watch FlyQuest, dude. FlyQuest, oh my god, they're all former Immortals players, and like, dude, I miss that team so much.
Oh, the Optic Academy team, definitely. That was insane. I really didn't expect them to do that good. You know, that synergy that they had, it was actually amazing. But, you know, for them to beat CLG like that, I was like, you know, that's what I really want to see. Like, stuff like that really caught my attention. I was like, wow, that's pretty cool.
Fans as pumped as we are to see their teams play today, but now I want to take stock of the state of the game. Let's remember that there are quite a bit of time passing between Worlds completion and season start, and with that, a number of changes to the game. Most notably, turret plates, bounties, Drake changes, and minion changes. Seems like the pace of the game is really increasing.
Gold, gold, gold,
Lots
James!
of gold!
Everywhere, we're getting gold!
Gold rush.
We'll just start with the turret plates, because that's where a bunch of the gold is, right? And it really has changed the way that the early game is played while they're still on for the first 15 minutes. It really rewards these proactive players. A lot of people are trying to copy Tarzan over in Korea, jungler for Griffin, who really does a good job at snowballing for the lanes, getting some of those extra turret plates off of them after you get some control in a lane can really add up and set you to the mid game with a much bigger gold lead so you can actually try and take those team fights.
Yeah, that combined with bounties I think is a huge reason you're seeing, I feel like, a lot more gold, because now you get bounties for just CSing well. And there was a game yesterday where Bang was 0-0-1 on Lucian and had a 500 gold bounty on him on a losing team. And so he didn't end up feeding that one over, but that's a situation where if TSM got that kill, suddenly they get way more gold than they would normally. So there's just so much gold getting passed around back and forth. The early game like benefits to doing well are so much higher.
Right.
Right, so with all the gold that's in the game now, it'll really be able to show what team is strong and what team is weak, because the gold doesn't just come to you. You have to go out there and get it. So teams that know how to gain that gold and accrue that gold across different lanes are really going to cement themselves as a better team than the other teams.
I think this graphic here is very interesting, just as it kind of shows the power creep of gold, you know, accrued by 20 minutes over the course of the years. 2019 spring, of course, it's only 1 day's worth of game sample size, but just barely behind that of last year's spring. And North America as a whole is slower than the rest of the world. The rest of the world actually averaging much higher in gold at 20.
Right, and I think, you know, you can look at Drakes as well. All the first level Drakes that you pick up, giving a lot more. And then minions, you have every 2 waves now, a cannon will spawn post 15 minutes, and post 25 minutes, every single wave will have a cannon in it, which is even more gold and pushing power. So I think that's another reason that you're seeing internationally the pace of the game picking up quite a bit.
Right, so, okay, given the fact that the pace of the game has picked up, great. How should teams be reframing the way they approach the game, though? You talk about good teams, you know, will understand how to go get that goal, but what are the tools that they need in order to follow through on that?
Right, so there's a lot of few things. Well, first off with turret plating, right? It rewards the players that control the lane heavily. Now, before you control lane, you can get pressure and priority to move, which is important. But now, you don't have to go get priority to go to a second lane. You can just shove your wave in, and you're going to get a lot of money, because you get money before the tower breaks now. So it's going to reward the players that are extremely lane dominant.
Thoughts for the rest of you guys?
I would say just don't over-focus on lane. We saw some teams take 0 CC comps and then get punished once the turret plating drops. So make sure you still build real team comps.
Right, can come back to bite you if you over-index into one thing too much. Time for us to take a breather. When we return, we break down and predict the outcome for Optic versus FlyQuest. So don't go anywhere.
Wow.
Thank you for meeting us back here for the LCS Countdown, where Optic Gaming and FlyQuest kick things off in just about 5 minutes. So let's get right down to it. Before we talk about this first match, let's see what else we got in store today. Game 2 has powerhouses Cloud9 and 100 Thieves, each aiming to pick up their first win with a potentially explosive match between Clutch and TSM in Game 4, and 2 more matches before we call Week 1. Now, ahead of that Game 1, though, we caught up with the coaches to get their thoughts on the season start.
I think FlyQuest is one of the most underrated team right now. I think people just look at names, but as a team, they play really well. I'm really happy for Gabriel, the head coach. I think he's doing a really good job. I already had a very high opinion of him. I think that as a team, they have weaknesses, of course, but you know, it's very hard to make a team play actually really well the game early season. But you never know. You literally never know. It can be very one-sided. It's League of Legends. You never know.
I'm not going to go easy on him. You're friends before the game and after the game, but during it's going to be a bloodbath. I think it's interesting because they're using a team that is more familiar with each other due to whatever issues they may have. They have to go with the majority of their academy team. That academy team is still strong. We're not going to underestimate them in any way, but I think they're very one-dimensional. We kind of know how the top side plays, and we expect to have advantages in the bot lane. So we have a clear game plan and clear win condition, and I hope draft goes the way that we plan so that we can execute on that.
Invert acknowledging that Optic is dealing with some issues when it comes to the roster, but that they won't underestimate this Academy squad that picked up a very impressive win yesterday alongside Crown. Now, FlyQuest, they showed up in a way that a lot of people weren't expecting here at the beginning of spring.
I mean, yeah, Pobelter in the mid lane, big pickup for them. On the Galio, he had a huge one, but I also want to give credit to Santorin, who's a guy who I feel like never gets credit on all the teams that he's on. And he had a really good performance yesterday. I think this is going to be definitely a takeoff year for him as far as how he's able to control the pace for FlyQuest. So they had very good opening. Also, the other question around Viper, I think that's where most people's underrating of FlyQuest kind of came from, right? You know, not a lot of experience.
He was a one-trick Riven, to be fair, right?
Exactly.
You know?
He played a little more in Academy, but definitely had his biggest successes on the Riven.
And he's trying to change that name for him.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting, though. You touched on it a bit, Kobe, this kind of idea. It's an attribute or something, you know, attributed to Santorin, but as well, Pobelter and Wild Turtle. This is a team of guys who were always second fiddle to somebody else, even when they were on teams that were championship teams or world's caliber teams. Wild Turtle behind Bjergsen. You got Pobelter, you know, behind Doublelift on CLG and Aframu and whatnot. And so finally they find themselves on a team together where perhaps they can prove that they are worthy of being an NALC or an LCS champion.
Yeah, I mean, especially a guy like Pobelter, everyone sees his shortcomings on the international stage, but you need to remember, a lot of the time he was picking up MVPs of the final series a couple times. I think he has 2 of them. I could be wrong.
He does have 200 IQ too, right?
Yeah, he's super smart.
He's pretty notorious.
So, like, he's actually someone who has put on big carry performances domestically. It's just people seem to get, like, their mind wiped after Worlds when he maybe comes up a little short there.
Now, on the flip side, there's perhaps the player with the most to prove as Crown. Had a hard carry performance yesterday for Optic, flanked by an Academy squad, no less.
And I think it's super impressive considering that Academy squad in Academy is 9th place, 1-3 right now. So you see, oh, we just added, you know, Crown into it, and suddenly they're taking down CLG, and a lot of that was off the back of how well Crown was playing.
Yeah, I really liked how not only in the counter matchup, Crown's up in CS, he was able to get the wave pushed and then roam. And he got Asta in the bottom lane going. That guy racked up a huge bounty. He was a very big carry for them in the late game as well. I just really liked how Crown was able to work these guys with, seemingly from everybody talking, that hasn't had much time to work with them. Dardoch said 1 game, I think?
I think, yeah, 1 or 2.
That was the second one?
Yeah.
So,
when you're good, though, you kind of just synergize. Like, if a good player plays another good player, you kind of know what they're going to do, and then things just go together.
Minute and a half before game time, I want to take a look at predictions. We've got highs, marks, as well as the ELO system that went 5-0 yesterday. So stats actually aligned.
So I didn't know I was copying stats. I didn't know I was copying stats.
You did not know.
I did not know. These are my own.
So, Hi, you're the only person
Wait, you copied me.
who voted differently on anything, and it comes in that 5th game of the day, Equifox versus Golden Guardians. Why is it that you think Equifox is going to take that victory?
All right, sometimes predictions aren't necessarily based off any stat or merit, maybe sometimes towards bias. I may have a bias towards Rush, you know, so I'm going to have to say I want him to pop off.
Rush is going to come out angry
He said Golden
today
Guardians is not making playoffs, so he has to say they lose.
That's
I
true.
have to support my friend boy, the kind boy.
Some thoughts from the analysts. They all align for the first 4 games of the day. It's time for us to send it over to the arena to get into game 1.